Money is something we all think we understand, but the reality is very different when life puts us to the test. It's never just about numbers or income. It's about behavior, emotions, and choices we make in silence when no one else is watching. Two people can earn the same salary, live in the same city, and yet treat money in completely opposite ways. One lives with fear and saves every coin. The other spends freely because life feels too short. What separates them is not their income. It is the way their mind interprets money. And that interpretation shapes the life they live. We all know someone who earns far more than us, yet is constantly stressed, always worried about bills, always chasing the next big thing. And we also know people who earn far less, but live with peace and calmness, never feeling poor. The difference is not the size of the bank balance. It's the story they tell themselves about money, whether it means security, freedom, survival, or status. Wealth is not measured by how much you make. It is measured by how much you keep and how you feel about what you have. History is filled with people who earned millions, yet lost it all because they couldn't control their emotions. They chased greed, feared missing out, always believed that more was never enough. Money can build or it can destroy. It can give comfort or it can burn like fire. And what makes the difference is psychology. We like to think our financial decisions are logical, but most of the time they are emotional. We are influenced by fear of loss, desire for status, and the silent pressure of comparing ourselves to others. When a friend buys a new car, suddenly our old one feels outdated. When people around us invest in something risky, we fear being left behind. Slowly, money stops being about our needs and starts being about the race we think we must join. The real secret of money is not intelligence, it is patience, humility, and self-control. You don't need to be a genius to become wealthy. You need to understand yourself. Ask honestly, what do I actually want from money? Is it freedom to live on my own terms? Is it peace that allows me to sleep at night? Or is it just the image I want to show the world? Unless you answer that question clearly, you will keep running in circles, chasing numbers without ever feeling satisfied. Money is not a finish line, it is a tool. Like every tool, it can either make your life stronger or cut it apart. How you choose to see it, how you choose to use it, will decide not only your wealth, but the quality of your entire life. And that is the real psychology of money. Most people believe that getting rich requires extraordinary intelligence or secret knowledge. But the truth is, wealth often grows out of ordinary behavior practiced consistently over time. Patience, discipline, and the ability to avoid big mistakes matter far more than chasing some rare financial secret. Think about compounding. It looks boring in the short term, almost invisible in the beginning. But given enough years, the small choices you make today turn into results that look almost unbelievable. That's why so many successful investors repeat the same advice. Time is more powerful than timing. Yet, this is exactly where psychology becomes the biggest obstacle. We live in a world that loves speed, fast money, and quick wins. Waiting for years feels frustrating, so people abandon long-term plans for short-term excitement. They sell too early when fear rises, or they buy too high when greed takes over. It's not lack of knowledge that ruins them. It's lack of control over emotions. We also tend to underestimate luck. Two people might take the same risks, make similar choices, but end with completely different results. Sometimes success is not only about skill, but also about being in the right place at the right time. Acknowledging luck keeps us humble, because arrogance in money is dangerous. The moment we believe we are invincible, we take risks that can wipe out everything we built. And then there is fear, the silent enemy. Fear of losing money makes people avoid opportunities that could change their life. Fear of missing out pushes others into traps that leave them broke. Between these two extremes lies balance, and balance is never about numbers, it is about mindset. It is about knowing what is enough, and having the courage to walk away from the race that never ends. Every generation faces the same truth. Money doesn't respond to formulas alone, it responds to behavior. To a farmer in a village, a businessman in a city, or a trader on Wall Street, all are controlled by the same emotions of fear, greed, and hope. That is why the rules of money are universal, and psychology is the thread that connects them all. If you can stay patient when others panic, if you can stay calm when others are chasing, and if you can stay consistent when others keep changing plans, then your wealth will quietly grow while others waste energy. And the beauty of this is that anyone can do it. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who doesn't give up discipline. Because in the end, the real challenge is not beating the market or beating others. The real challenge is learning to control yourself. One of the biggest illusions about money is thinking that wealth will finally make us happy. We imagine that a certain number in the bank will remove every worry, every fear, every insecurity. But the moment we reach that number, a new desire appears, and suddenly what felt like enough yesterday feels small today. This cycle never ends because human wants keep expanding. As soon as we upgrade one part of life, our eyes shift to the next. A bigger house, a newer car, a higher status. The race stretches further and further. And before we know it, we are no longer working for peace, we are working to impress people who may not even notice us. True wealth is not the ability to buy everything. It is the ability to walk away from the need to prove yourself. When money becomes a tool for freedom, it gives peace. But when money becomes a tool for competition, it steals peace. That is why so many people who look rich from the outside are quietly stressed on the inside. Wealth that is visible often comes with pressure. Fancy clothes, luxury cars, expensive holidays. They may impress others, but they rarely give lasting satisfaction. Invisible wealth, on the other hand, is the money you save, the freedom you build, the calmness you feel when you know you can take care of yourself and your family without fear. It doesn't scream for attention, but it silently protects your future. The problem is, invisible wealth is harder to show. And because it is hard to show, people ignore it and chase what looks shiny. This is where psychology plays its trick. We mistake showing wealth for having wealth. But the truth is, the richest people are often the ones who don't look rich at all. Learning to say enough is one of the most powerful lessons in money. Enough doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop letting endless desires control you. Enough means your goals are based on your values, not on the comparisons society keeps throwing at you. And once you discover your own definition of enough, money turns from a restless chase into a silent strength. Because wealth is not really about money. It is about time, freedom, and choices. It is about waking up and knowing you don't have to do something you hate just to survive. That freedom is the highest form of wealth, and it comes only when you stop running after what everyone else is chasing. So remember this simple truth. Rich is loud, but wealth is quiet. And in the end, quiet wealth will always matter more. Every decision about money is actually a decision about the future. When you save today, you are buying yourself options for tomorrow. When you spend recklessly, you are silently borrowing from your own peace of mind in the years to come. The most underrated skill in finance is the ability to stay prepared. Prepared for emergencies, for surprises, for the unexpected storms that no one can predict. Because no matter how carefully you plan, life has a way of reminding us that control is limited. Illness, job loss, accidents, or sudden expenses, they come without warning, and only those with a safety net survive them calmly. This is why savings are more than just numbers in a bank account. They are a shield, a form of self-respect, a way of saying to yourself that no matter what happens, you will not break. Savings give you the freedom to make choices based on values, not based on desperation. And that freedom is worth more than any luxury you can buy. People often ask, how much should I save? But the answer is never fixed because it depends on your life, your goals, your fears. What matters more than the percentage is the habit, the discipline of regularly setting something aside. Even small amounts, when protected and allowed to grow, create a sense of stability that nothing else can replace. At the same time, we must learn to separate risk from ruin. Taking risks is part of life, part of growth, part of opportunity. But risks that can completely destroy you are never worth taking. If a single mistake can wipe out everything, then it is not ambition. It is carelessness dressed as courage. This is where humility comes in. Humility reminds us that no one can predict the future perfectly. Markets change, economies fall. Unexpected events shake even the strongest foundations. Accepting this reality does not make you weak, it makes you wise. Because wisdom is not about avoiding risk entirely. It is about surviving long enough to benefit from patience and time. Think of wealth like planting a tree. You can't control the weather, but you can protect the roots. You can't predict every storm, but you can make sure the soil is strong. And with enough time, that tree grows tall and steady, giving shade and fruit long after you stop counting the days. So remember, real financial strength is not about showing confidence, it is about building resilience. Because in the end, it is not the person who grows the fastest that wins, it is the one who survives the longest. One of the greatest lessons in money is understanding that people see the world through their own experiences. What looks safe to you may look risky to someone else, and what feels like a disaster to you may feel normal to another person. This is why financial advice is never one size fits all. It always depends on the story of the person receiving it. Imagine two people growing up in different times. One grew up during a period of economic growth, where jobs were secure and investments doubled every few years. The other grew up during a financial crisis, where savings disappeared and families struggled to survive. Even if both are given the same income today, their decisions with money will be completely different, shaped by what their past taught them about trust and fear. This is the psychology that makes finance so unpredictable. We assume everyone will behave rationally, but rationality itself is different for each person. For someone who has never seen poverty, risk feels exciting. For someone who has lived through scarcity, risk feels terrifying. Neither is wrong. Both are simply acting out of their own history. That is why comparison is so dangerous. When you look at someone else's success and try to copy their exact steps, you forget that their journey was shaped by circumstances you cannot see. Their timing, their luck, their past all influence their outcome in ways you may never experience. Trying to copy them blindly can leave you frustrated because you are running on a track built for someone else's race. The wiser approach is to accept your own story. Understand where you came from, what shaped your fears and desires, and then build financial habits that respect those truths. Maybe you are more cautious, maybe you are more aggressive. What matters is not imitating others, but staying consistent with who you are. At the same time, remember that your experiences are limited. Just because something never happened to you does not mean it cannot happen. History is full of events people thought were impossible until they happened. This is why humility and flexibility are so important. They allow you to adapt when life surprises you in ways your past never prepared you for. Money decisions are not about finding the perfect formula. They are about finding the balance between your personal story and the reality that the world is bigger than you. When you respect both, your past and the uncertainty of the future, you make choices that are grounded, realistic, and sustainable. Because in the end, wealth is not only about numbers on paper. It is about aligning your financial life with your own values, while never forgetting that the future can always rewrite the rules. The most powerful force in building wealth is not intelligence, it is time. Compounding works silently, almost invisibly, and then suddenly it shows results that feel impossible to believe. But the tragedy is that most people never give it enough time, because patience feels harder than risk. Think about it. Saving and investing for a few years feels exciting in the beginning, but as time passes, the slow pace makes people restless. They start comparing their progress to others who seem to be moving faster. And in that impatience, they change plans, jump from one idea to another, and end up destroying the very advantage they once had. Compounding is like planting seeds. You water them, protect them, and wait. For a long time, nothing seems to happen, and then suddenly the growth explodes. But if you dig up the seed every few weeks to check whether it has grown, you kill it before it has a chance. This is why consistency is more valuable than brilliance. A person with average knowledge who sticks to a plan will often outperform the genius who keeps changing direction. Because wealth is less about talent and more about staying in the game long enough to let time do its work. The challenge, however, is our own emotions. Markets rise and fall. News creates panic. Friends boast about sudden gains, and fear whispers that maybe we are missing out. In those moments, our mind pushes us to act, even when the best decision might be to simply wait. And that is why self-control becomes the most underrated skill in finance. There will always be stories of people making money overnight. They grab attention, they create envy, they make patience look foolish. But what we don't see are the countless failures hidden behind those rare successes. The quiet truth is that slow, steady growth outlives almost every shortcut, because shortcuts often end in collapse. Patience is not just about waiting, it is about trusting the process. It is about believing that time, discipline, and small repeated actions will create something far bigger than today's results can show. It is about choosing peace over panic, long-term vision over short-term noise. Wealth is not built in a straight line. It is built through years of discipline, interrupted by moments of doubt, and protected by the courage to stay the course. And the ones who truly win are not the fastest, but the most consistent. So if there is one principle to carry in your mind, it is this: do not underestimate the quiet power of compounding, because time, if respected, can turn the smallest effort into the greatest reward. In the end, the psychology of money is not really about money at all. It is about understanding yourself, your fears, your desires, and the invisible rules that guide your choices. Numbers are simple, but behavior is complex, and it is behavior that decides who builds wealth and who loses it. The richest person is not the one with the biggest house or the fastest car. The richest person is the one who wakes up without financial fear, who has the freedom to choose how to spend their time, and who does not need to prove their worth through possessions. Because true wealth is not measured in things, it is measured in peace. This is why humility, patience, and discipline are more powerful than intelligence or luck. Luck will come and go, intelligence can still make mistakes, but humility protects you from arrogance, patience protects you from panic, and discipline protects you from inconsistency. Together, they create a foundation that time itself will reward. We must also remember that money is not the goal, it is the tool. A tool that can buy comfort but cannot buy meaning. A tool that can create opportunities but cannot create character. A tool that can build security but cannot build purpose. Purpose comes from within, and money is only useful when it serves that purpose. So ask yourself, what do you really want money to do for you? Do you want it to give you freedom, to protect your family, to allow you to chase your passions? Or are you simply chasing it because everyone else seems to be running? The answer to that question will define whether your financial life feels like a prison or a path to freedom. At the end of the day, the psychology of money is the psychology of life. It teaches us that control is more valuable than speed, that calmness is more powerful than noise, and that survival is more important than temporary victory. It reminds us that wealth is quiet, comparison is loud, and peace is worth more than any number in the bank. So let money be your servant, not your master. Let it give you options, not chains. And let your relationship with money be built not on fear or greed, but on wisdom and balance. Because when you finally master your behavior, you realize something profound. The greatest return on money is not luxury. It is freedom. And the greatest reward of wealth is not showing it, but living without worry.